Welcome back to NTD Good Morning. November is National Family Caregivers Month. It celebrates those who give their time and energy to support a family member or a friend in need.
But we sometimes forget that those caregivers need support themselves. So joining us today with some tips to support our caregivers is Sahar Paz. She's a survivor of breast cancer and a certified somatic practitioner. And thank you so much for joining us. It's such a relevant topic. Especially going into Thanksgiving, we forget about the people who care for the others. And with somatic practice, it's about this mind-body connection. And I just wanted to, get your tips on what can people do to feel calm in the moment when they're, in what would otherwise be, very stressful, busy time when you're running around caring for others and you don't really have that moment to really reset yourself.
Yeah, and that's usually the frame of thought. I need a big extended amount of time to take care of myself. But there's one thing that we have with us all the time, which is our breath. Our breath is the language of our body. And anytime you can extend your exhale, you're allowing your body to relax. You're cueing to your nervous system, it's time to calm down. So one of the best practices I like to do, and why I love it, is no one can really tell if you're doing it, is you inhale for a count of 4, you hold your breath for a count of 4, and then you exhale for a count of 6. So just extending that exhale cues to your body, rest, relax, and doing it 3 times is usually the magic trick.
Oh, we'll take note of that. Yes, certainly. It's the times when you need it most that you feel that you can't give yourself something like that. But as you mentioned, nobody can necessarily tell, and it doesn't take that much time. You've got to breathe anyway, right?
Yeah, I just did it right now.
Right. There you go. I
had no idea.
Yeah, very subtle. Now, another aspect is many people have tried affirmations, right? If they're trying to find a way to think more positively, but there can be some challenges there. It may not always feel that natural or feel like it fits for everyone. Do you have any advice on potentially how to use this tool?
Absolutely. So affirmations take a little bit of extra energy. I am safe. I am happy. I am calm. And usually there's a voice on the inside like, am I feeling it yet? And that takes a bit of an energy exchange. So what I invite people to do, especially in these busy times when you're caring for other people or getting ready for the holidays, is turn that into a question. How can I feel calm? What can I do for myself to feel calm? And usually thinking about your other senses, back to that breath we just covered, or maybe even something warm to drink, hot water or tea, and coming to the touch and the taste, that helps us feel calm. So instead of an affirmation, ask yourself a question. What do I need right now to feel calm, happy, relaxed, whatever it is that you're needing to feel?
And that sort of dovetails into this concept of self-care. It seems like nobody was talking about it a year or two ago, and now everywhere you turn, it's like, oh, self-care this, self-care that.
Yes.
But what you're suggesting is it's not just a phrase, but or a concept, but a system. Like you actually have to approach it with a bit more strategy to get any benefit. Can you explain?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we get in this frame of mind that self-care needs to be on Sundays or a big half day or going to the spa. But can it be a part of our lifestyle in these small moments, these micro rituals like the breath or turning into the question instead of an affirmation? Finding moments where, especially as a caregiver, if you're taking care of someone else, there's this thing called parallel care rituals. So the caregiver is taking water when the person is eating, or when they are napping, they're going outside and getting some fresh breath. So it's really about finding those small moments in the day where you could check in with yourself.
And caregiving itself can lend itself to being, you need to be switched on all of the time, just in case, depending on the situation. Mm-hmm. But we each have our own unique way of kind of responding to stress and being in that state of alert. If you could dig into what those different states are and potentially how to manage that if you know what your state is.
Yes, so a patient and caregivers are going to go through the 4 Fs, fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. But rarely do they go through them at the same time. So that's important to remember. If you're in fight, you might be a little bit agitated or defensive. If you're in flight, you're doing a lot of research or filling your calendar with a bunch of things. Freeze may look like you're just kind of staring off into nothing or feeling really numb or kind of stuck in molasses. And fawn is saying yes to too many things, like people pleasing. So if you can recognize that, that helps you regulate it. And also it helps you choose a more positive response. What I like to remind people is maybe you said yes, maybe you did a lot of research, but you're allowed to change your mind. You're allowed to close the laptop, put the phone away, or cancel that thing that you said yes to.
Now, New Yorkers and people everywhere are struggling with this particular concept, how to help caregivers. So we actually went out into the street and collected some questions. So the first one we're going to play is from Jorge, if you guys could play that.
A lot of us live in a big city, and obviously it's working Monday through Friday, it's a lot. So we find it hard to engage with one another, and we feel disconnected, isolated, lonely. So what would you recommend us to be able to practice since this has become very hard for all of us?
That loneliness or disconnectedness is really a lack of presence. So can you be more present when you go get your morning coffee? Eye contact and a smile can do a lot. Instead of a text, what about a voice memo? Or making time for that phone call is really important. And we have a bunch of things on our to-do list, right? So can we begin to include some of that community aspect, whether you're going to a lecture or some sort of a class, inviting somebody for a walk. So it's really inviting yourself to be present with other people as well as yourself. If you like the one you're hanging out with, which is yourself, you tend to not feel lonely.
Love that. Okay, Christina wanted to know about tracking symptoms of burnout.
What are some ways to measure your burnout? So is it just tiredness, or is it more serious, something more serious?
What do you think?
I love this question. So burnout tends to show up in the mind before it shows up in the body. Our body is a machine and it will keep going through the rituals. But if you are feeling that you wake up and your mind is a little bit cloudy, or you're feeling more irritable, or the things that used to give you fulfillment and purpose are really not bringing you that joy, these are cues. And burnout is not saying, hey, it's over, it's all done. It's an opportunity for a boundary and coming back to those micro rituals. Can I sit back in my chair and do some breathing? Can I make sure I'm setting a little buffer time before and between my meetings? So it's really just cueing yourself. Am I feeling different? Am I thinking different? Do I feel like I'm in a fog? And offering yourself more time off.
And let's go to our final question from Greg. Let's have a look.
What is the best way to make sure a caregiver is okay while they're going through that process, and then after they've lost that person, to make sure they're okay going forward?
Very meaningful one. Your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's so meaningful. As a breast cancer survivor, I saw my caregivers going through it. And a lot of the times they said, oh, you're going through so much. What I'm going through doesn't matter. And I want to say it does matter. You're allowed to have those emotions. And naming those emotions is so important. Maybe you don't do it with the person that you're taking care of, but can you find that support system and name how you are feeling? Saying I'm tired, or I'm overwhelmed, or I'm angry. Just the initial way of saying it really, really helps. And if you're taking care of yourself while you're taking care of other people, when that person passes, then it doesn't feel like, oh, this relationship with myself is brand new. And that person that may have left your life really wanted you to take care of yourself. And what I know about the feeling of guilt is guilt makes you the only one responsible. And you're not the only one responsible. There's a lot of factors that come into play. And that person would have wanted you to take care of yourself. So make sure that you're pouring into your own cup as you're taking care of other people.
Well, as we go into the holidays, this is such helpful advice. I know it's meaningful to so many people. Sahar Paz, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.